Hello everyone, I'm the NFC and this is Blue Lions TV, and today I'm bringing you guys a Chelsea News Daily video. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about Ramirez wanting to rejoin the club, I'm going to be talking about Kante, and I'm going to be talking about Luiz. But anyway you guys, just a quick plug-in. Tomorrow evening after the Champions League game there will be a subscriber call-in show. You guys, if you want to enter, if you want to debate me or talk about any talking point you want to talk about and be part of the live show, in the link in the description below will be a PayPal link. I'm only accepting donations of £5 a minimum, and that's only because I'm thinking, let's say 20 people put in £1. I can't be rejecting, let's say 15 people. It's a waste of your money. And I think if you're serious and you really want to get something off your chest, then I think obviously donating £5 minimum is the best. But anyway, it's still a new concept. If you guys don't necessarily agree, let me know in the comment section. If you have any ideas on how to improve the format, I'm open to suggestions because again, I'm very open-minded. But anyway, getting straight into the first part of this video, and that's about N'Golo Kante. As reported by Matt Law, an exclusive by himself, Kante fainted in Friday's training session, and of course the whole Chelsea squad was scared and were unhappy. The medical team rushed in within seconds, initially fearing it could be a heart condition, so a lot of people were scared and worried, especially after the unfortunate story of Davide Astori passing away. They can't take any precautions, especially when within this sport there have been a lot of issues with players having heart scares that have unfortunately cost them their lives. Chelsea also brought in a cardiology specialist, and Kante was thoroughly tested, and actually he was given the all clear to actually play against Man City. So when the squad were travelling up to Manchester, Kante was initially going to be part of the matchday squad, but then, you had to tell people that he was feeling a bit unwell. And then of course, taking extra precautions, it was suggested that it's best that he doesn't play any part against Man City, and he'll probably play against Crystal Palace later this week. Now when it comes down to why Kante fainted, well, it is a bit of a dilemma, it's a bit of a mystery. And the only reason that the cardiologist specialist came up with was the fact that maybe due to the cold weather, that could have played a part. When it comes to the specifics of how these athletes even get these conditions in the first place, it still is a bit of a mystery at this moment in time. Athletes' hearts are different, of course, because they're athletes. Of course, their hearts are more muscly, and that could naturally make things a bit harder for the heart because it has to pump harder for the blood to flow. But again, you guys, I'm not really an expert when it comes to this. But it's good that Chelsea was so attentive with Kante. Now some of you might be thinking, oh, how can they even think about playing him against Man City? Well, of course the player would want to play against Man City. If a specialist in cardiology tells you you're okay to play, naturally Kante will want to play. But it's good that the club took extra precautions when Kante did tell them that he was feeling a bit ill. Maybe after this incident, the players might be training in different kits anytime they're training in colder weather. It could be an idea. And that's because obviously Kante missed a massive game on Sunday, and preferably the manager would want to have him playing in the team. And I think it's always good to take precautions in case anything happens like this in the future. Now moving on to the second story, and that's in regards to Ramirez wanting to rejoin Chelsea sometime in the future. Ramirez was interviewed and he said quite a lot of interesting things. He spoke about his desire to return to the club. Ramirez spoke about his great affection for Chelsea and his desire one day to play for the club again before he retires. And he kept talking about how Stamford Bridge is like a second home for him and that the doors are always open for him to return. Similar promises were made to Oscar as well when he did leave the club, and Ramirez has been a good servant of the club. But with Ramirez, I don't know, I've always felt he's another player that we never really use effectively. Now for me, he's a natural box-to-box midfield player, and during his time at Chelsea, he rarely ever got to play in his natural position. He did during that one spell when he scored that fantastic solo goal against Man City, but most times he was using a two-man midfield, and he was used on the right or on the left. And I just feel that you can't really use Ramirez in a two-man midfield because he doesn't necessarily have that passing range or technique. He can't really control the game. It's completely different playing in a midfield too because number one, you've got more responsibility, you've got to be more disciplined. You can't just burst forward, and Ramirez is all about making those late man runs inside the box and obviously attacking. So again, when you're getting him to play to qualities that aren't his strongest, you're not going to see the real Ramirez and see what he can really offer and what he can really bring. But if you think about this, let's say that Ramirez was available in the summer. Well, I for one know I'd definitely take him over Bakayoko and Drinkwater. And maybe, who knows, in an alternate universe somewhere, this could have been a good signing. I mean, obviously with Kante using a 3-5-2 this season, Ramirez could have easily played part in that three-man midfield where he would have been that box-to-box player. Plus, with his work rate, his tackling, he would have been the perfect ideal midfield player for Kante's system. Yeah, we know that he's 30, he's about to turn 31, but regardless, previous history, the club have already bent the rules a tiny bit, obviously pursuing Xhaka and then signing Giroud after all. Ramirez would have been a very interesting player. And sometimes this is my issue with, maybe the club needing to think long term all the time. Yes, Mourinho was the manager when Ramirez was at the club, but then surely there should be people at the top thinking, well, let's say Mourinho ever does leave. Do we feel that Ramirez could play an important part in our future? They're the type of decisions I feel that we don't necessarily make. I think once we get gassed by a high, transfer bid, I think that's it. But you guys in the comment section below, would you guys be happy with Ramirez ever rejoining the club? And do you think he'd be a good fit for how we are now? And to end on the final story, and that's in regards to David Luiz's injury. Yes, it looks like he could be out for another month. Potentially, he could be out for the whole season. Now, what's the cause for Luiz's injury? I think all of us already know that. After that disgusting, disgraceful assault by Aguero last year, of course, hitting him in his knee unnecessarily, Luiz has been affected by that assault ever since. Now, during last season, and this is why I love Luiz, and this is why I feel that he should be a Chelsea captain, because he's a real leader. Of course, the guy played through a lot of pain last year, but then naturally, when you don't really have time to recover, it does come back to haunt you. Now, a lot of times players will get injections to help them get through games, but then Luiz has always had this inflammation in his knee due to that stupid tackle by Aguero. And injury has been the real concern for Luiz's season this year. Yes, him and Kante did have a falling out, but as I've already reported in a video a long time ago, that's over now. They're fine. They're on better terms. The real reason why Luiz hasn't been playing is his injury, and of course Kante's realised that. And why has that been the case? Well, Luiz's performances haven't been as dominant due to his injury, and that's because it's his knee. You have to use your knee to run, to jump in the air, to turn, and this is why his tackling hasn't been as intense. This is why he's been making a few individual errors in games. Not anything massive, but in terms of maybe not winning a 50-50 like he should be, or being as dominant in the air as he was last season. And the reason I bring this up is because, in football today, no one cares about context as to why players are like this or managers are like that, etc, etc. With this channel, I'm always going to provide context, and the real issue has been the fact that it's been his knee and it's been his injury. People making out that Luiz has gone back to the old Luiz is complete nonsense, because again, it's been his injury. And honestly, he hasn't been as bad as people are making out to be. He just hasn't been as dominant because we saw a very, very high level caliber of player last season. But anyway, it looks like his World Cup place could be in jeopardy, of course, and yeah, it gets you thinking sometimes. Let's say if he was properly rested during last season. I mean, Zuma was playing. I'm sure there were certain games where we could have survived without Luiz. Maybe if he did have that rehabilitation period, he'd be able to play more often. But of course, these things come back to haunt you eventually. You can't just sustain this type of play forever. And yeah, this is why his season's just been so scattered. But anyway, you guys, that's going to end today's Chelsea News Daily video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button if you haven't pressed it already, and help me get more than 500 likes for this video. Anyway, you guys, I'm NiniFC. This is CWANless TV, signing out.